So we have completed our period of silent study. This is still the Ways and Means Committee and it's 17 and 2:10. So what seems to me to be the most efficient or something version of how to have this conversation is I will read the subject of the report. And if you are a person who wants that report to be retained, does that make sense? We're talking about you are speaking the affirmative if you want it retained. Then say so with your hand, I suppose. And then we can have a discussion briefly, if that makes sense. And then essentially, if really most anyone wants something retained, we will retain it. We don't need a majority to retain a report. Does that make sense? Okay. I don't know if this will work, but we're going to try it. We've never done this before. Questions, thoughts? Okay. So Private Activity Bond Advisory Committee Annual Report. I am interested in extending this. Great. Any discussion on that?
I'd like to know more about it too.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, just for my purposes.
Yes.
I'm just gonna check, extend and move on unless you think there's another.
Does anyone have a stronger need to retain? Okay, then we're going to do extend. Special funds created prior to current fiscal year. I would also like to extend this one. Okay, is the agreement, would anyone like to retain rather than extend?
In effect, they're kind of the same. We were learning what.
When we extend, we have to discuss it again at some point in the future, which I think is very good practice.
Okay, excellent.
I think we're extending that one as well. Authorized submission of plan for electronic filing fees. Is anyone interested in extending this?
Would extend, but I'm.
Okay. I am assuming that it's sort of past. It is not.
I wondered if it had already all been done.
That's what I think, but I could be wrong.
Okay, let's.
Okay,
Well,
yes.
it's only sent to Ways and Means and Senate Finance.
And Saoirse, have you seen this at any point in the recent years? I'm so sorry. Report, authorizes submission of plan for electronic filing fees. It passed in 2014.
No.
Okay. We're good? Okay, that one's going away. Repeal.
Yes, repeal.
Report on resources made available from the Vermont Enterprise Fund. I put repeal. I think it's very possible another committee is interested in this. I am just not particularly. Okay.
There are two enterprise funds now.
No, there's a few places where the report seems entirely duplicative between it's actually, it almost looks to me like a typo, but I'm not sure.
Yes.
Because they're almost identical rows.
Within this repeal category, are you? You're thinking of it, the report just wouldn't get done, or are you thinking that House Ways and Means just wouldn't be a recipient? Both.
So if another committee, so if we say repeal and another committee wants to retain it, then my assumption is it would be retained.
I just don't know a lot about a lot of these.
Yeah.
I can tell you the enterprise fund report, it looks like 2020 was the last time it was submitted.
Yeah.
I just remember in the last week or so that the online gambling, it now has a enterprise fund.
Mhm.
We might want to keep an eye on that.
Okay. So the other thing that I think is good for us to attend to, in addition to our gambling enterprise funds, is the fact that if we are supposed to be receiving a report, that we have some responsibility to chase it down, as well as the administration has a responsibility to send it to us.
There's also the liquor and lottery is enterprise
Yeah.
fund.
So I'm gonna, if I may, because I'm really trying to follow along.
Thank
here.
you.
We initially had a repeal of this, but are we now saying maybe perhaps it should be extended?
I think we want to understand, we want to report on enterprise funds in general. And so that's something that I think we have to do some more research on.
That doesn't fit, in the interior little box.
It doesn't fit in your box.
Okay, so
So if I were you,
Would
I
you
would
like me to-
cross, I would write enterprise funds and cross out the word Vermont and then something. We'll send a letter about it, but
okay,
Yeah,
and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be difficult.
no, and then write, we'll make a new box called research, a new column.
Research.
And you might, the report that was submitted in 2020 was from Act, says 179 there, or
Mhm.
49, and that is the report that was submitted. It looks like it just hasn't happened in the last 4 years.
So it was submitted once.
No, it was like from 2015 to 2020. The why it's not.
Okay.
Not to take us on.
expired in 19.
No, that's just the year. Oh,
What,
yes.
I hear you saying we have both the responsibility to seek out the report and
Oh, that's
our
right.
agencies have a responsibility to create the report. What accountability mechanisms do we have when reports are not submitted?
We have no accountability mechanisms when reports are not submitted, other than chasing and pestering. We have some sternly worded emails.
And it does say that it expired in 2019.
So why is it on
Which
this
is why
chart?
we have not received it.
Yes.
Well, they have to officially, I don't know, they're giving you the option now to resurrect it or let it go, I
Yeah.
guess.
I like
Thank you,
your point,
Saoirse.
though, Bill, I appreciate that.
Okay, choices for care. That's not something that I've ever experienced our committee touching in any way.
No.
Okay.
Because another committee would probably pick up the issue of utilization,
I do believe so, yeah,
like the health and wellness.
indeed.
Okay, I mean, because I think utilization is important, but I'm not sure it's important to me.
Yeah, it's just not, I mean, it's important to me, it's just not important to our committee, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And I would say like there's a column that it goes to like 5 or, like a dozen committees here, so I'm going to trust the universe that those are one of those.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Okay, Medicaid, I will put in the same category as choices for care in terms of, I think it's an important thing for other committees to.
So repeal.
Mhm. But I do think it's very important that we have in whatever introductory email that accompanies this very strange survey, that just because we say repeal doesn't mean that it should be repealed across the board, just that our committee no longer needs it. Okay.
Yeah.
Report of the Treasurer's Local Investment Advisory Committee. I put extend on this.
Yeah, I agree.
That's something that seems very actively happening.
Yep.
And in some ways, it's a piece of revenues that's outside of the control of the appropriation process in a way that's somewhat interesting and I think worth monitoring. Incentives authorized in 32 VSA Chapter 150, Subchapter 1.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really.
So I
Fine
kind
with
of did a
taxes.
little bit of Googling and it's banking related,
Thank you,
It's what now?
banking related. I didn't read the entire statute for obvious reasons, but it was banking related.
I think let's put that under needs more research.
Okay.
But I will also say if it was passed in 2021, it's likely still relevant.
Yeah,
Housing subsidy covenant and percent decrease in fair market value.
That's a really important issue right now.
And it
It
only
is
comes
indeed.
to Ways and Means.
And can I also just say, because you'll note, it says, when it's due is unclear.
Mhm.
I also dug into that because I just can't randomly check boxes.
I appreciate that about you.
And, it does not appear that this report exists.
Okay. We will follow up with the Department of Taxes about that issue.
Okay.
Yeah. They
So-
care deeply about customer service.
They do actually.
They do.
Mhm. And this is also an issue that I think they care deeply about, so.
So
Real opinion does.
did we say extend
We said research
research?
and extend. I think we said research and extend. The board's activities and finances the preceding year. I put extend here.
That's the Housing and Conservation Board.
HVACB, yeah.
Very important. Yeah.
The Clean Water Board.
Actually, so.
Sorry.
Go back, you guys gonna hate me by the end of this, but like.
Nope.
Should we consider retaining if we really feel like it's such an important?
I personally don't like ever just blanket it for, I think sunsets are one of our best tools for paying attention to things
I can get on board,
across biennium and human change.
for sure.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Clean water.
Again, as far as I can tell, this doesn't exist because there's not an actual date assigned to it.
Okay, we are about to talk about the clean water. I think we have many people interested in clean water in here, and we're about to have to do some work on clean water, so let's say extend.
Yeah.
We also want research.
And research, yes. I feel very confused about these two TIF pieces and their relationship to each other.
Maybe that fits.
And so I would like to do some research on, I think it's very important that we continue to attend to TIF. I don't know what these reports are.
Right,
Okay,
almost definitely probably drafted, I mean, title, probably drafted.
Is this potentially bound up with the issue that we were asked to consider by the city manager of Montpelier in regard to modifying the law to accept project-based tests rather than geographic?
I have absolutely no idea,
Okay,
but I don't think so because these were in 2017 and 2018, and I don't think people were talking about
Was
that
not.
then.
okay. It's just the word capacity perked up my ears.
Things evolve.
Historically, there was a question about the capacity of the system to withstand TIF
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Madam Chair, so I am
research.
research and extend.
I think just research and tips are important or something. Checking boxes is hard. Let's just say research.
Okay.
And Green Mountain Secure Retirement Plan.
No.
That's a very new one, right?
So I think that actually that's the one that preceded the new one that the previous treasurer did not complete. And the new one is called Vermont Saves and it's a different thing.
Yeah,
And so I think we want to sunset this one.
killed it.
On the statute on the last report.
Would you like to read it to us?
Sure. That last report, tax increment financing capacity study, so the statute there, it's, 1892G says, beginning in 2021 and every 4 years thereafter, on or before January 15th, the Joint Fiscal Office, with the assistance of the consulting legislative economist, the Department of Taxes, and the Agency of Commerce and Community Development, in consultation with Vermont, with VEPSI, shall examine the recommendations and conclusions of the tax increment financing capacity study and report created pursuant to subsection E of this section. I think is the previous report. And shall submit to the Emergency Board and to the House Committee on Commerce and Economic Development, and Ways and Means, and Senate Committees on Economic Development, Housing and General Affairs, and on Finance, an updated summary report that includes: one, an assessment of any material changes from the initial report concerning TIFs and other tools, and an
Can
assessment.
I ask a question before you dive into all the extra words? What is the study? It's a study about a study. What is the study that it's about?
Well, that's the thing, because it refers to a previous study,
Yes,
so I need to go back and look at that.
okay. I think we're gonna,
Maybe studies on studies should just stop.
let's do some research on that and we don't have to do that right now though.
Yeah,
I think we're done with this activity for the day. Representative Anthony.
Just back to the accountability issue. I, like all of my colleagues here, have been reading the busyness of the auditor in the area of TIFs. And I don't know what to do with that, except obviously there's again and again disputes over what the appropriate filing is, and the auditor is doing what he thinks is the right thing and telling us what should have been deposited and isn't.
Mhm.
And I don't know what role I have in, other than reading that. But because it affects the revenue of the state, I feel like I got a responsibility.
What I do know is that we passed quite a bit of clarifying language last year
No.
in a bill that I don't remember the bill number on because it moved around 3 times, I think. But I do believe it wound up in miscellaneous tax in the end. Does that sound right to anyone else? But I guess when there are areas of dispute, I think often our best bet is to draft clarifying language. And so if you read about something or learn about something that you think there is dispute about, bringing clarifying language to the committee is a really great step. I feel like we've had significant TIF hearings in the Ways and Means Committee almost every year since I've started. And I'm not sure how much progress we've made. And so I'm curious, just give some thought. We don't need to talk about it now. But to other strategies to find resolution on this.
My reading of the latest was a dispute over authority rather than language.
Yes, and I would rather we don't opine on that in here.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Representative Masson?
Yeah, I just assume, if there's a report out there on capacity, a couple of years old, something like that, so I can see that. So that I have a better understanding. We're talking about before I open the mouth further, say, we should change the language or. Uncertain is what I'm saying. But I need to know more. Sometimes I think clarifying language doesn't help if we're a little off the rails.
I think with that, thank you, everyone.
Awesome.
I do believe we are done for the day. And we will be back here tomorrow at 9, maybe. It's possible we'll get here at 9 and actually be released again. So if you're someone who has significant responsibilities at home, you might want to check in with me or Sorsha before you get in the car.